Hi everybody, good to have you all here. I hope you're doing okay, you're healthy and sane, and welcome to our masterclass with the big question, why is everybody talking about curation? Your today's speakers are Caroline Speak. She's the Associate Director at Xandr, and she's overseeing projects and technical integrations for publishers and our marketplace customers. And on the other side, we have Phil Zeidler. He's the head of programmatic at Audience, and Audience is one of the largest sales houses in Switzerland. And myself, I'm Paulina Korschetz, and I'm on the marketplace team, where I work with third-party buyers who are buying Xandr's inventory using other DSPs than Xandr Invest. And if we haven't met yet, feel free to reach out after the masterclass. Okay, let's go ahead and have a look on our today's agenda. I will start with the short company's introduction for those of you who haven't met us yet. Then I will walk you through the definition and concept of curated marketplaces, and I will talk about what problems are they solving. Caroline will show you how Xandr fits into the landscape, and in the end, we are very excited about the interview with our dear partner, Audience, and we'll talk about their use case for curation. I think some of you know us as AppNexus, and that was before our company has been acquired by AT&T and Warner Media, and it was in 2018. Who's Xandr? We are the advertising company and the ad tech provider, and we aim to make programmatic advertising better for brands, consumers, and publishers. And as you see on the slide, we support both the buy and the sell side of the advertising ecosystem. On the sell side, on the left-hand side, we work with publishers, and our SSP product, Xandr Monetize, helps publishers better monetizing their available inventory. On the right-hand side, you see Xandr Invest. This is our DSP product for agencies, brands, and advertisers. And this platform helps investing your budgets more effectively. In the middle, you see our new product line. This is Xandr Curate. And this platform allows you creating packages, so-called curated deals, that you can then sell to any buyer on any DSP which is plugged into Xandr Exchange. But more on this later on. And how all this you see on the slide comes together is through our premium advertising marketplace. And this is basically how the buy and the sell side intersect. And this marketplace allows brands reaching their consumers across screens, at scale, in high quality, and of course, brand safe environment. Probably makes sense to start off with a definition of curated marketplaces. And I think a lot of you know this term already, but for those of you who haven't found it in the Oxford Dictionary yet, I will try to explain it quickly. I think we are all familiar with transactions between buyers and sellers. So you have a publisher that puts its inventory on sale, and on the other side you have a buyer who can purchase it either through open auction or via deals. And as you see on the slide here, the basic element of a curated marketplace is just another deal type, so-called curated deal. And with deal curation, we add a seed in the middle, and this seed is able to create inventory packages that could be basic inventory or inventory associated with data or other assets. And to better explain the role of curator, we were looking for a live example, and I think the real estate agent or broker comes really close. Let's say Caroline would like to buy an apartment. Probably first thing she will do is going on Zillow, maybe ImmoScout, maybe Immowelt. Then she will look through several ads, browse a little bit, and after some time she decides to take advantage of a real estate agent or broker who helps her finding the ideal apartment. And this person will take into account all the requirements and limitations she might have. And in the very end, this broker will help her finding the perfect apartment. But the point is that Caroline will buy this apartment from the seller directly, and the broker will only facilitate the transaction for her. So from the buyer point of view, you take advantage of a real estate agent to find the apartment among large universe of ads. And from the seller perspective, the broker brought you probably unique demand because without the service of the real estate broker, Caroline might not buy this apartment. And actually, this is what curated marketplace is all about. And next, we will talk about what problems are they solving and why they're becoming a trend. I think we all know that advertising, and especially programmatic, can be really complex, but actually the starting point is simple. You have a buyer, and the buyer wants to run an ad campaign that performs well. And then as a buyer, you're looking for inventory and assets that are helping you creating this performance. And there's a lot of companies that can offer interesting assets like, for example, unique audience data or contextual analysis or attractive formats. But as a data owner, here on the slide on the left-hand side, it's important for you to keep full control over your data, the way how you monetize it, and you don't want to share it with third parties. Also, efficiency is very important since you want to reach as wide as demand as possible so that the packages you have created, you can sell it to any buyer on any DSP. And as a buyer on the right-hand side, efficiency is very important since a lot of IO campaigns are moving to programmatic now, and there is more and more over private marketplaces. And we all know this day will come with the expected end of the cookies. Identity data, but also quality contextual data are really crucial so that you can reach your audience effectively and also across screens. And you see on the slide what is missing is a solution for a scalable transaction channel. And curated marketplaces solve these problems because they allow companies with assets, making them available to buyer in a simple, efficient and fully controlled way. And there is no need to integrate with publishers or data marketplaces. And Caroline will now show you how Xandr fits into this landscape.
Thanks, Paulina. So now we're going to see how the Xandr product technically works and which type of advantages it brings to the people using it. So first, I want to say that the Xandr Curate product offers a very large panel of features and therefore is very useful for many different use cases and could be useful for agencies, direct advertisers, publishers, data providers, and so on and so forth. But today, from now on, we're only going to focus on one specific use case, which is how to leverage your data assets thanks to the Xandr Curate product. Brands or direct advertisers may have first-party data that they want to start offering to other buyers. And this is not something which is very easy today because they also don't have access to the inventory themselves. But with Xandr Curate, you will see this is actually pretty simple. Same thing for publishers or coalition of publishers. They also have first-party data that they may want to start offering out of their own inventory. And this is also pretty simple with this product. And obviously, this is also a use case for data providers. So as you saw first on Paulina's slide, the Xandr Curate technology sits between the Xandr SSP, called Monetize, and the buyer's DSP, which could be the Xandr DSP Invest, or any other DSPs on the market. So now we're going to look at the flow on the slide from the left side to the right side. So on the left is where curation actually starts, meaning which inventory can you reach, which inventory can you curate. You can actually access all the sellers which are on the Xandr SSP Monetize, and you can do so either via deals or via the open exchange. So via deal, it means that you have some kind of relationship with these publishers and you are able to ask them for a deal ID. They will then create a deal ID with you as curator seat which for them will be the buyer. And this will give you maybe access to some specific inventory that they don't have in the open exchange. They can also give you a specific priority or a specific pricing. But if you don't have this kind of relationship with the sellers, this is also not a problem necessarily, because you can just start accessing their inventory via the open exchange, exactly in the same way as programmatic buying is working today. Now for this use case, we're talking about leveraging your data assets. So the second step would be to push your data assets to your curator seats. And by data assets, we mean audience data, but also contextual data. So audience data could be very classic cookie-based audiences that is already very known today. But as you also may know, Xandr released recently an announcement saying that we are also going to support several other identifier solutions which are not based on cookie. And with Xandr Curate, our plan is also to make it possible for you to upload audiences based on one of these other identifiers and not just to rely on cookies. About contextual data, this is already also totally possible today. We have several customers in many markets who are actually live with Xandr Curate to leverage their contextual data offering. And there is many ways to do it. Either you can use our Xandr functionality for contextual data, which will enable you to create contextual segments with precise URL targeting. Or you can just simply plug into your seat your real-time contextual data provider. Now, when this is done, you can basically go on and go in the UI in your curator seat and start creating the packages via bundling the inventory that you choose to create and add your data assets on it. At this moment, if you want, you can also start adding other Xandr provided targeting like video context, in-stream versus out-stream, or viewability threshold. When you do so, you will basically just create a deal ID that you can then give to your buyer's customer. At this moment, this is also the moment where you will be able to give a price to your deal and to decide on the margin you want to take out of this transaction. Then on the right side of the slide, you will see that the buyer can then choose to use your deal ID in their campaigns, and this could be in the DSP of their choice. Then, when the buyer's campaign starts to go live, the transaction will happen, and during this transaction, you will basically take your margin out of the transaction, and at the end, obviously, the buyers will still have to clear the publisher floor price, ad quality rules, and so on and so forth, as in a very classic programmatic transaction. So now on the 3 next slides, we're going to see which type of advantages you can have via using this product. And the first one is control. So you basically have a full control about how you want to monetize your data assets. And I want to mention 3 points there. The first one is that the whole solution is platform agnostic. So you will have to do this step to upload your data to your curated seat, but that's the only integration you will have to do. There is no further integration you need to do on the supply side, meaning you don't have to do anything to be able to access this supply. This will work automatically with this product. And on the right side with the buyers, you also don't have to do any further integrations to plug into different DSPs. So this is a very scalable way for you to leverage your data assets. The second point is commercial control. So you basically are able with this product to define the pricing of your deal and the margin you want to take. So you have these 2 levels of control around your commercial pricing, and therefore you can really try to optimize your profits. And the last one is operational control. So because you are sitting in the middle of the whole chain, you have a full control over the chain. You can control if maybe you want to only buy on deal IDs that you have with the publishers. You can control to only buy or curate certain publishers and exclude some others. You obviously have control on your pricing and margin. And finally, because you are the one creating the deal ID with the buyers you want to work with, you can also select which buyers will get a deal ID from you and therefore will be able to buy through your curated deal and will be to buy using your data assets. The second one is reach. So with this tool, you basically have access to the Xander SSP and all the sellers sitting on this SSP. We also plugged in a few other SSPs. So you really have access to one of the largest omni-channel multi-format exchange where you can basically find back any seller. On top of that, we also built in the UI a forecasting tool where you will be able to see where can I find back my audience on contextual data, on which type of inventory can I find this back. This is pretty powerful because thanks to this, you will be first of all able to maybe find out new inventory that you didn't know before your data were valuable for. And also, for your offering towards the buyers, you will be able to come up with a very precise offering via telling them, okay, I can create a package for you with this and this data, and through this data, I will be able to access this and these sellers, this and these domains, and you will also be able to let them know which type of volume they can expect. And the last one is efficiency. So this is a tool which is self-serve, so you can basically go into the tool whenever you want and start creating your deal ID. This is a very user-friendly UI because we basically just created a new UI for this tool, so it's very efficient. If you want, you have the option to do direct clearing with your publishers. And finally, we have a team which is very trained on this product with a dedicated service model to really help you use the tool at its best and reach your business case. So yeah, that was it for how the product works in theory. Now we're going to see how it works in practice with our guest today, with Phil from Audience in Switzerland. And for that, I will give back the mic to my colleague Paulina.
Hi Phil, thanks so much for taking the time and joining the call. It probably makes sense to start with the intro. Could you introduce yourself quickly and maybe tell us a little bit more about Audience and what's your vision?
Hey Paulina, thanks for having me. Sure, I can give you a little background about myself. So I'm the head of programmatic at Audience, which is one of the largest sales houses in Switzerland. We are almost the only third-party publisher sales house at the moment, so we're monetizing around 200 different websites, and not just owned and operated websites. Although our focus lies heavily on news and business media, as well as some special interest verticals like family, style, and B2B.
Okay, interesting. And could you tell us how did you come across the concept of curation?
Sure. So I think first time I've came across curation was probably 3 to 4 years ago. It was still named exchange curation or exchange curated deals. But as the name implies, the exchange was the only one who were able to curate inventory based on many different things like viewability or CTR or anything, performance-based metric. So now things have developed, and me as a publisher or even buyer can now start curating inventory. And like us now, we will try to bring some proprietary value for buyers into a created or rather curated marketplace on our end.
Yeah, interesting. Thanks. In the beginning of the presentation, we were talking about what kind of problems curation solves. How does it work in your case? So what challenges curation is solving for you?
Yes, so as a publisher or media house, there are lots of challenges you're facing, I feel like on a day-to-day basis. Not just the death of cookies or the first-party data is the new gold now, and contextual ID solutions. There's so many things going on right now, but there's certainly one thing that we're actively working on now, especially now that almost every publisher I feel like has a very solid header bidding setup now. We have all added multiple SSPs to our monetization, and it's actually going well. It helped competition and increased monetization. But it seems like that there's a lot spent being channeled towards one or two SSPs on our end, and my effort now is around bringing the revenues, so like the budgets, into a channel that is the most lucrative for myself. For example, that I have the best rates with, or like where the take rate is the lowest. And that's where I think curation can come into play for us. That's why we want to try to create and build new marketplaces, so that buyers can, pick their inventory maybe from the marketplace that we have created, instead of others, for example. And our goal here is to create, proprietary value that we have as a publisher, and that will be beyond just cheap and discounted inventory.
In the beginning, you mentioned you work with over 200 websites, and as one of the largest sales houses in Switzerland, I imagine you have a lot of first-party data. Could you tell us a little bit more how you can monetize them more effectively over curation?
Yes, so we do already offer our first-party data in the Xandr data marketplace. So you can buy them standalone already. It was tied to Xandr DSP or Xandr Invest buyers only. Now the curation gives us the opportunity to create similar offerings and then send it to the advertiser's DSP of choice. That could be, any DSP that someone is using. And that's what I think is also a large opportunity for us to unlock more spend and to direct it towards more preferable channels of ours. We're not just adding data to the equation, because that's not just the only thing that's valuable to buyers. There are definitely more things beyond that. And I think we want to build something and to add something that is not necessarily targetable within your DSP. It was not that easy to find out, what we could bring then as another value. But we have an own proprietary technology, which is called, or like even a tool, a product, which is called Zulu 5. That's our audience owned, company. It was even a standalone product before that, and you can license that. But now we want to combine this with curation. So Zulu 5, just to give you a little background real quick, it's a huge crawler that crawls the entire internet for information, so the entire web. Just to give you an example, what we could do then, if we combine all of this data and then some more insights, we could add inventory to the curated marketplaces or the curated deal that has no reloading activated, for example. You can target inventory with no lazy loading, or detarget them or untarget them. Because, for example, you don't want to run on websites where not lazy loading is activated, for example. Or you can funnel or get only inventory in there with this the very high time on screen, a high score. It's brand safe environments, stuff like this. We can now pre-filter for you and put into one deal or in one marketplace. And we have more indicators like this that could be of value for advertisers.
Yeah, your vision sounds very interesting, and I think curation and curate is a very powerful tool that helps you reaching any buyer on any DSP. And speaking about buyers, who are you planning to pitch your business model to? And maybe tell us a little bit more about your sales pitch.
Sure. So for that purpose of curation, we're even starting up a new business unit within Audience that will be operating independently from our sell-side business, traditional like selling ad placements and selling inventory. It's going to be called AdFact, and it will combine multiple offerings besides just the curation. All these services are rather interesting or directed towards direct advertisers. Advertisers of any size. They could be small, medium, or even large advertisers. And it's basically based out of 3 pillars. One is digital strategy, which we would be the first one we probably talk to then with advertisers about programmatic media buying, and the third one will be the curation part. And I think the sales pitch for curation is going to be something rather new, or not just for us, but also for the advertisers directly. So we have pitched this actually already a few times to direct advertisers. And I would have to say we gained lots of insights and valuable insights towards how we should build and structure our products of curation, and how we should steer our product. And I'm obviously talking about product because the curation marketplace I see rather as a product than just selling or channeling inventory somewhere. And we can now, after lots of talks with advertisers, address different pain points. It's going to be, I think, a rather custom approach in the beginning, always depending on what advertiser sits in front of you. Most of them have very custom needs and maybe issues or pain points at the moment. But the pitch, as I will see it, will always consist of a few main values that we can add. You can address, for example, like in the beginning always, you can get our publisher, for example, audience, first-party publisher data. It can be contextual as well as behavioral. Basically, everything from our first-party proprietary data, you can take it and apply it to the entire internet. For now, this will all be cookie-based, but let's see what kind of ID solution will be then supported. But let's just take it aside. And if you don't want to have the entire internet still like for this data applicable or available, we can still filter it down for you based on whatever your needs are. If it's rather branding or technical attributes that we can add, viewability, or should it be rather a context in which one you want to advertise, or a brand safety environment, we can all add this together and basically put this in one deal. So one example might be, if I take a real-time or real-life example, let's say B2C finance startup wants to address, want to get new customers and want to do both branding and performance, which is all in one budget, which is obviously the agency's favorite client briefing that you can get. So what we would do in this case, real quick, we'll probably just create 3 different curated deals. One would be for the branding campaign. We'll probably work with a high quality list of publishers, websites that are actually Alexa ranked, for example. We don't want to show up on websites that are just have 200 users on them every month. That's probably not necessary or good for your branding, so leave it out. Also, you want to have a good impact score, for example, which means a good ratio between text, images, and ads. So that's something that Zulu also provides. That means you, as with your ad on this specific website, have a high probability of a better impact. Stuff like this we would do for the branding deal. Then we'll probably do one that is rather data focused, in which we target, for example, users that are interested in the last 30 days or expressed interest in financial products, that we will put on top, probably on the same targetings that I mentioned before. And there would be a third deal that is rather performance driven, where we don't want to focus too much maybe on reloading time and time on screen or lazy loading, but maybe just brand safe environments. And these 3 deals would probably be everything that you need. And it's business as usual. We will send you deal IDs. It feels like there's a little more to it now.
Hey Phil, I hope everything is good in Zurich. We know each other, and you know that my background is more on the supply side of the business. So I actually wanted to react on your first answer when you explained that curation actually is going to help you solve the supply path for you to optimize better. Actually, I think other publishers who are not doing curation themselves and who are being curated may argue the opposite, meaning that curation is adding something in the middle of the chain. What is your view on that as a publisher?
Hey, Caro. Really good to talk to you again, even though only via video, but hopefully at some point in person again. It's a very good point and a very good question that I also had to think about, let's say, more than once if we want to do this. But for us now, as a seller of inventory, as audience, we're very happy to have our inventory curated as much as possible. And I will tell you why. Because technically, the curator just helped me once I'm getting curated, or my inventory is getting curated. Just helped me making my inventory more visible towards a certain buyer, without actually selling it to him. It was just directing it towards, like, the spend towards me. We are still very much in charge of our own prices and our own pricing and our products. But the buyer also advises directly from myself, which is why I think, and I can report on this transparently, it makes a huge difference than if I would put in some other intermediary. So maybe to what I said from the beginning, if anyone can help me channel budgets towards a pipeline of mine that is more lucrative, then I'm very glad.
Yeah, so basically what you're saying is that maybe curation will also bring another type of demand that you just didn't see before, and is not just going to eat the existing demand through a new additional hop, so to say.
Yeah, you're right. It's at least it feels like a different demand source that I will then add to my monetization. I know that curated deals or curators that I will put in between, or they will put themselves in between, they actually need to add real value. So I anticipate that heavily that the growing number of curators will come into the market, and buyers will have to pick the real ones with real value add. So I would say curation. So there's curation and there's curation, and I would say that consider data as a value add. There might be even more, but I would be happy to see more publishers going into curation, because I would be happy if they curate me. One, especially when you said new demand source, I think it could be very much a good use case if my, let's say, Germany as a neighbor country, if a German publisher knows more about my German users on my inventory than I do myself, he's very happy to direct spend towards these users on my inventory. So I think even close or further away neighbors, you're very welcome to curate my inventory.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. So the whole cross-border traffic, for sure, curation is going to be a big help on that. And as much as you said that curation will help you have push the demand through the channel which is for you the most valuable, because you have less tech fees, maybe that's also going to be the case for other publishers that you are curating, just they don't have to do the work themselves of curation, so that's quite great. Thank you, Phil. It was very insightful for us to learn a bit more what is your vision about this product. So thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Great. So I hope this masterclass was very useful for all of you who are here with us today. I hope you can enjoy to learn a bit more about this product, and also could learn a bit more about Phil and his business and how he is using the product. And now on this last slide, you will see our contact details. So if you have any questions or you want to reach out, please just feel free.